thing with the sequence function is that it's one which allows us to generate quite a lot of test data, and that's really useful. I'm trying to ponder on other times when it will be useful, but actually it's for generating test data. And let's just look at it in its most basic form. So equals sequence, that's easy enough. And all I've got to do is give a row and column. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to say 3,7. So that's rows and columns. And if I press enter, it's given me 3 rows, 7 columns, and it's given me a series of numbers there. So that is just a generator, and that's incredibly good. So let's have a look at another one. So we noticed, hopefully, that when I did that, let's do the 3 and 7 again. But can you notice that after I've got something called start and step? So let's just first of all look at start. Let's just put in 123, just for the hell of it. Close the brackets, and now we can see that that starts at 123. So in case you hadn't guessed, start defines the value that this starts at. So that's handy. Then I can do another sequence. And again, let's stick with 3,7 and let's stick with 123. But what I can do with the step is what is the gap? By default, Excel is set to have a step of 1 because that's what we're used to doing. We go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. But obviously there are times when that's not valid. So what could we do? Well, let's now put a value of 8 in there. So what it's now done is it's gone just like this one starts at 123, but this one went 124 because the step is by default 1. But this one's gone from 123 to 131 because it's adding 8 each time. And so that's what's happening, is that step part is what do you want me to add to each step of the sequence. So we've got some nice sequence patterns, and that's where it starts to get quite handy. Now, what if we decided instead that we were going to say equals sequence? Let's go from 1 to 12. 1 to 12. That's what I wanted. And if I put that, I get the values 1 to 12, which we guessed because that's what we got. And then I said 1 row. But what I can now do is use that to say, well, I'll tell you what we'll do is, what about if we took the following? What we're going to do is I'm going to put the text command. Click in there, text. And I'm going to put MMM to give me myself the months. Now, that's only given me January because it doesn't know what to do with this. It's just a number. So what else can I do? Well, what I could do is I could tell this, no, this is going to be a date in here. And the date must be comprised of a year. Well, okay, let's put 2022. And then sequence is our month point. And then we're going to put 1 as the day. Now close off the brackets and I'm giving it a date. And if I do that, I've now got the months. So I can generate data such as that by merging these together and creating this sequence is incredibly useful in that viewpoint. Equally, there's nothing stopping me from saying, well, okay, what if I equal a sequence? And let's go for our 3,7 again. Open brackets 3,7. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tell it that I want to generate an integer. And it's going to be a random integer. So let's choose that. Let's multiply by 100 so we get, otherwise we're going to just get 0 with a random 1 every now and then. So I multiply by 100 and then turn it into an integer. What's going to happen is it generates a random number between 0 and 1, multiplies that by 100 to get a number between 0 and 100, and then integer says drop any decimal part and keep that. So what I've now got is a random number generator. And if I just simply do that, then it's just generating a number randomly for the first one, and then the step continues on. But what I could then do is go to the end of that and just repeat that. Let's generate a random number generator. And let's do it for 100 steps again. So got that part, close off the brackets for the int part, press equals, and now the numbers are generated. So the step between these is consistent, but then there's a random number generator in there, which is just altering those figures. So you can see it's 20 in this case. It's always 20 because obviously everything is governed by this one. These aren't separate functions. They're running the same function. So this is simply saying generate that is 20, and that applies to all of them. But every time I do this, it generates a new value. This one's just 2, so it's doing, and that's really useful. So that, I would suggest, is a great generator for test data. So that's the sequence function. Okay, what I'd like to do next, before we progress on to the other functions and other aspects, is just to pull some of this together to see what we could do with a mixture of what we've looked at so far. So see you in the next lesson.